Good evening, everyone. Thanks for listening to us. And we only have one guest tonight, so Martha, do you want to introduce him? It's Bob Bach. Bob.
Yes, this is Bob Bach from the Health Department, and he's going to talk to us about COVID. Bob?
Well, it covers a lot.
He's got his mask on.
Yeah,
And
I'm wearing my mask, and that's the right thing to do. From the standpoint of health department, you should do that. I know it makes it hard for me to for you to understand what I'm saying, but so if you don't understand, by all means, call in and say so. We'll see what we can do about it. COVID is not only deadly, it's frustrating, it's confusing. There's various ways that some people in various healthcare industries are trying to address it, but nonetheless, it's a virus. And you have to treat it as such. From the standpoint of public health, we do have limitations on what we can do. So what we're doing right now is just trying to identify those who have it, counsel them in the importance of quarantining if they have to. If they are told to quarantine, we ask them to please do that. I think they do receive a letter with regards to that quarantine, I do believe, and so is that hard to do for somebody? Of course it's hard to do, but you have to understand that the potential consequences may be dire. Not everybody who gets COVID gets deathly ill. Not everybody who gets COVID dies. But this is something that, because of the enormity of it, both nationwide and worldwide, we have to address this because it could not only it could become catastrophic worldwide. Here in the U.S., I think we're trying to do the best we can. Sometimes the directions we get from the Department of Health and Human Services in Washington, D.C. Are sometimes kind of hard to interpret because of various conditions in Washington, D.C. now. Sometimes those instructions are, I don't know how to say it.
Contradictory, probably.
Yeah. But we also, the health departments have to deal with instructions that we get from the Department of Health and Senior Services in Jefferson City. They're trying to deal with it as best they can. I think here in Missouri, I think they're trying to do as best they can. They're trying not to politicize it. And I have to say that one of the organizations that I work with that's just trying as hard as they can to make sure that information is spread out and people are taken care of is the Southeast Missouri Healthcare Coalition, which is somewhat overseen by the Missouri Hospital Association. The Missouri Hospital Association has done a superb job in trying to orchestrate the spread of information amongst the healthcare organizations, because it's not just the health department that they're dealing with. They're dealing with long-term care centers, dialysis centers, nursing homes, hospitals, clinics throughout Southeast Missouri. The Healthcare Coalition in Southeast Missouri encompasses 15 counties, with St. Genevieve County being the northernmost. The Healthcare Coalition extends from St. Genevieve County all the way down to the Boot Heel, and then from the river to as far west as Wayne County, Ripley County, Butler County. I think we encompass Iron County and Madison County. So it's a large area. So this COVID business is complicated. It's overbearing at the moment, and sadly, with the advent of the winter season coming on, people are going to be confined to closed spaces more, and there's going to be in contact with more people. Probably what that means, there's going to be an uptick in the numbers. And then you can start to see that already. Our numbers here in St. John County have gone up, and so how do you address that? And so with a limited number of people at the health department, it's been difficult. Basically, I think 3 out of the 4 nurses, I think we've got 4 nurses that, one takes care of things like flu inoculations and normal walk-ins kind of stuff that we do get from time to time. We try to handle people in the parking lot, including flu shots. We have them call and say, we're coming, you're coming, and we go out and deal with them. So I've actually watched nurses give flu shots to somebody in their car or truck in the parking lot. We try to limit the interior to the people who really need to be in the interior. But COVID it presents a dilemma in that it is a real danger, but then again, some people don't necessarily see it as such. And that's causing a problem too. And so, because you have to remember, we're constrained by information and data and instructions that we get from the Department of Health and Senior Services, and that's how we have to govern ourselves. That's the agreement. So, do we sound dictatorial sometimes? Probably we do. We don't intend to be dictatorial. So, and that gets to the point where, speaking of sounding authoritarian, most people are aware of the fact that in surrounding counties, particularly St. Francis County, Jefferson County, and I know for a fact Cape County, but Jefferson County, St. Francis County have tried mask mandates, where they have issued a mandate saying, if you're out in the public, you have to wear a mask. So if you're going out to go to the Tractor Supply, Ace Hardware, Country Mart, going to whatever restaurants that might still be open and trying to do business, then you have to wear a mask. Well, are we saying that to be authoritarian? And the answer is no. What we're trying to do is indicate that we are trying to encourage mask wearing because of the potential severity of the virus itself. Because it's if you listen to some of the numbers that are nationwide, I mean we're pushing I think 235,000 people dead now in the nation since when? Just since January or February, and so this is really a tough thing to address without necessarily trying to have people feel like, what are you trying to do? I mean, you're inflicting something upon me that I don't want. Right. And that's not even close to what we're trying to do, but what we are trying to do is indicate that what wearing a mask means is not so much that we're making you do something. What we're asking people to do is wear it for the people that you are around. Mm-hmm. It's really an extension of empathy. To be conscious of other people and be wary of other people. I mean, it's a hard message to really get across, but because some people don't want to see it that way. But we're going to have, the health department is putting on a public meeting next Tuesday night, November the 17th, at 6:30 p.m. at the community center on Highway 32 in the main building there, in the gymnasium. There's going to be some chairs put out that are going to be properly spaced for social distancing, and we're going to require that people do wear a mask when they come in. If you don't have one, we'll provide one. We're also going to provide a mechanism by which, if they wish to ask questions, that they can do so during the course of the evening. But primarily it's going to be basically doing the presentation. Mm-hmm. But all we're going to try to do is, let's take a look at where we are. Let's take a look at how we've gotten here. And also take a look at the potential for something that may be catastrophic during the winter months if this virus actually escalates exponentially like it's showing that it may. And that's what we're trying to do is minimize it. We have no magic wand, we can't make it go away. But we're certainly going to try to get the message out that what we're going to ask people to do is consider wearing a mask when you're out in public, if for no other reason than to extend to the person that you might walk past in aisle number 6 in Country Mart, or you might bump into at Ace Hardware, or you're in Tractor Supply getting some bird seed, like I feed the birds, and so, that's what you're doing. And because the way the mask works is that the wearing of a mask like this, even a simple one like this, what it does is it keeps any droplets from your exhaling or your talking or your potential coughing or whatever from actually leaving and going out in the air. The thing about the virus is that the virus itself cannot travel outside of your body once you have it. It has to have a vehicle by which it can do that. The way it does that is it latches on to vapor droplets from your exhalation, from when you exhale, and it uses that. That's how it gets outside of the body, is on the vapor droplets. So the virus itself can't move about. It's got to be on the vapor droplets. And so and you've seen, I'm sure, videos of in slow motion of a person sneezing, or even coughing. Well, you see, when they do it in slow motion, you can actually see these vapor droplets coming out. Well, that's moisture from within either your nasal or your oral cavity, and so the virus has to attach to that in order for it to get out and infect someone else. So the wearing of the mask is really you protecting other people, if you have it. And of course, and you hear about it all the time, there are people who actually have it but show no symptoms. Well, and of course, if you don't have any symptoms, you say, "Oh, I don't have it. I'm not going to go get tested. There's no sense to get tested. I don't have a fever. I don't feel achy. So that's one of the things that it's very difficult to combat, is that not everybody who gets it necessarily comes down with terrible symptoms. I don't know. It's we talk about this in our board meetings. I try to glean what I can from the nurses when I go and talk to them, because they are constantly getting emails and things from Department of Health and Senior Services as to anything new that's come about, new type of information as to what to do, what not to do, who to do it with, who not to do it with. And but it has been proven, and I think it continues to be proven every day, that the one thing we can do to prevent the spread of this, wear a mask. The other things, of course, are, well, wash your hands and social distance. Those are nice. Those are good too. But the one thing that has been proven to work is this. And is it uncomfortable? Well, if you wear it for 4 hours a day, like I do when I volunteer down at the Vietnam Veterans Memorial, I'm down there from 11 to 3. Well, I have to wear a mask from 11 to 3 because people are constantly coming in and out of the building. And when they come in, we ask them to wear a mask, and everybody's more than happy to wear a mask. So, and then, so do we want to actually say, as a health department, to our public, our citizens of St. Genevieve County, that you have to wear a mask? We hope we don't ever have to do that. But what we're asking to do is consider that, because of the fact that you're doing someone else a favor, and it's that person that you either know or you bump into, or it's an extension of your goodwill, and it's not easy getting that message across. A lot of people are more than happy to do that, even though it's uncomfortable if you don't wear it long enough. But it's something that with where we are in this crisis right now, it's the best tool that we have. Now, just within the last several days, one of the major drug manufacturers in this country, Pfizer, has announced that they have a COVID vaccine that has proven very successful in about 90% of the cases that they have had to test with. So you might think, oh, well, salvation is here, a virus is on the horizon, we can, by the end of the year, hell, we can be. The answer is no, because they can't manufacture it in such quantity that it can be distributed in mass all over the country to where everybody can get an inoculation by, the first of the year. In the case of Pfizer's vaccine, it's one of those that requires, in order to keep it fresh and keep it from going stale, is it has to be stored at an extremely cold temperature. Not every facility in the state of Missouri, and we don't have one, has the ability to store something like that at such an extreme temperature, because it takes rather expensive type of refrigeration equipment. In southeast Missouri, there is one healthcare organization that has been designated as a place that it can be stored when it's delivered, and that's Southeast Health down in Cape. So Southeast, I think that's the one that's in downtown. It's not St. Francis. I think it's Southeast. Yeah, Health.
Southeast
Yeah,
Missouri, yeah.
it's on. I think it's on Broadway.
Broadway, it
Yeah.
is.
So now they evidently have the ability, a mechanism by which they can store some vaccine within those temperature parameters. So that's what's going to happen. But they're not looking for anything to be delivered for a while. They have no idea when it's going to be delivered. And the other problem we have is that if we get it in small quantities, who's going to get it first?
Right.
So there's going to be some decision making there as to how it's going to be distributed in the quantities that we receive initially. And I don't know what that's going to be, but there's been talk about, people who work every day with COVID patients in the hospitals, perhaps maybe emergency response people, primarily ambulance paramedics and EMTs. And when you look at it, you think, well, if those we have a small amount, we should really, in essence, take care of the people who are out dealing with these people on a daily basis. So, but again, I don't know who's going to make that decision. It's certainly not going to be health departments. That'll probably be somebody out of Jeff City at Department of Health and Senior Services, and I'm sure they're already thinking about that. But as you can see, at the health department, sometimes we're scratching our head as, my goodness, because every time you turn around, there's something new that you have to consider, or you have to deal with, or you have to. And so we're trying the best we can. And I have to say that the crew that is employed at the health department is as good as I think as you'll find throughout the state of Missouri. I think I would put up our crew against any equally sized health department in anywhere throughout the state of Missouri. We have an excellent set of nurses, excellent administrative people, and I can't praise them enough. Because I stop by the health department maybe once or twice a week, and I just sit there and observe, and I try to lend what little moral support that I can do. But as a board member, you can't be too involved. But it's encouragement and trying to find out if there's anything you can do to make their job easier. Right now, there's not much. It's just the handling of data, and the contact tracing is something that's just overbearing right now. It's just overbearing. And just trying to keep up is not easy. So I'm hoping that if anybody is interested in learning a little bit more, or decide that they want to come out to this public meeting we're going to have next week, you're certainly welcome. We're going to have about 100 chairs set up. I don't have any idea how many people might indeed partake of that. I have no idea. But it's just what it is. It's going to be is just a fact-finding effort on our part, just to see if people would, and we're going to encourage them to be open to wearing a mask and hopefully there will be a response that,
Right.
you know, that there would be a willingness on the part of the people in the county to do that when they're out in the public. And a lot of people are. I was in Country March several times this week, and there's a lot of people who do. There's one or two people that don't, but you know, this is what we're striving to do. So we're not saying anybody has to do anything, but this meeting really is just maybe just an informational thing, and just to find out what people's thoughts are and so on. And so I don't know how long it will last. I think I only got the gym for about an hour and a half, or half. I'm not quite sure, but nonetheless, we're giving the public an opportunity here to come in and perhaps just listen and think about what we have to say, and we'll go from there. So I'm just wondering, we have any people who are out there in the community that has called them? I'm surprised we haven't gotten any questions or.
Yeah, if anybody wants to call, now would be the time. Bob would answer all your questions.
And the number's up on the screen, so if you're watching, you can see it and give us a buzz.
Yes.
I think a lot of people, where is the information now? How many cases?
We try to provide the numbers as accurately as we can, but here's how this works, because sometimes the numbers don't jive, and the reason for that is, and it's not that anybody's changing them to deflect accuracy or anything,
Right.
but what happens is, in order for a person to be tested, generally you would go to your primary care physician, or if you're sick enough, you maybe go to the ER or something. But what would happen is that primary care physician or the ER or whatever would indicate that a test is necessary. Then a test is administered, and I'm not quite sure who does that, but I would assume he's somebody at the hospital or somewhere. We don't do
The
testing.
nurses.
Yeah, and so the test is administered, but that test goes to a laboratory. The laboratory analyzes the test, and if the test is positive for that individual, that information goes to the state of Missouri, to the Department of Health and Senior Services, I presume, and then the state adds that to their numbers and disseminates, and then that data comes back to the state, to our county, through a set of software that our people get onto. I think it's called Epitrax is the name of the software. And then they can download a spreadsheet that's got this information in it as to who the person was that tested positive and so on. Then we initiate the contact tracing as best we can. The problem with that is sometimes the state will include people from other counties in our data. And so you can't look at the bottom line and say, 82 people today or 22 people today. You know, it turns out that 8 or 10 of those people might be from surrounding counties or some other county. So the numbers that we report, we try to be as accurate and include just the people from our county, so they could be, people can accurately reflect on those numbers, but that's not always guaranteed. So, and again, that takes time. Our nurses are working overtime on weekends and the like, and sometimes they might go home and be just about midway through dinner and they get a phone call saying, "Oh, there's been a positive case." Well, after dinner they come in, they start paperwork. It's not as if that waits until the next morning necessarily. So this circumstance that we find ourselves in St. Genevieve County, Southeast Missouri, state of Missouri, and the United States of America is, these are trying times. And so what we're trying to do the best we can, I walked in the COVID room over at the health department, and I think it was the wrong thing to do because I had a couple of nurses on the other side of the door there that kind of gave me both barrels when I walked in. So, and you have to take that for what it's worth. So,
Right.
You know, they are overworked. So,
So I have a question. If a person would go to, say, be tested in Festus or Perryville or whatever, is that test in that county? Or will that go for that county?
it may.
Okay,
It may and it may not. Again,
Okay.
if, you know, if you say, oh, if you're not in if you're up in Festus and you say, oh, I'm ill, and you walk into a clinic or the hospital up there and they test, you know, you're tested and it proves
Mm-hmm.
positive, you'd probably show up in their numbers, and then there's an outside chance they may show up in ours as well. You may
Oh,
show up
okay.
in ours as well. It just depends.
Okay.
That's what I'm saying. When it goes to Jeff City,
right.
how they compile that is, and I think they try to be as accurate as they can.
Oh, sure.
But, you know, with our numbers going up, there's thousands of things that are being data entered, and, you know, it's, if you can sit back and just envision the enormity of this, just the data that's being gathered, and the data that's being
Right.
sorted and analyzed and categorized and summarized, and then trying to be distributed out to the proper place where it should go, you can, it's, you know, there is margin for error. Not a lot, though. I feel confident about the system. It's just right now the system is overtaxed.
Right.
That's the problem. So and the thing is, other counties are taking action, and we're sitting here hoping we don't have to do the same. And I have to say that the people in our county, I think, have done a good job, mostly with trying to do the things like wear a mask and stay socially distanced. And I think that's one of the reasons why during the summer, our numbers were
Very low.
very low compared to surrounding counties.
Absolutely.
You know, and I think it's because our people in our county, for the most part,
Right.
took this seriously. Or seriously enough to say, oh, well, if I have to wear a mask, I'll wear a mask. You know, I don't like
It's
what I'll
only
wear, you
for a
know.
little bit.
But if you, just in the last several days, if you watch the news, St. Louis City and St. Louis County are on the verge of taking some very drastic action. And so, you know, we as a board have to sit back and take a look at this. You know, does it necessarily mean that we're going to do it? We personally would hope we never wouldn't have to get to that point.
Right.
But there
If it keeps
there
going.
could very well be a lockdown
Right.
in some form or fashion. You know, where you know, we have to look at that as a possibility. But you know, that's the last thing you really want to
Well,
do, because
sure.
that curtails not only people's activities, but that curtails the ability of a small business person
Absolutely.
to run their business. And once you do that, then when the economy slows down, and not that I necessarily worry about economics,
Right.
because I have to worry about people's health.
Right.
And so that has to come first. But I think the other things that come along as a result of issuing a lockdown sometimes can, in another way, affect the health of the community. You know, so this is not easy. In our board, for the last 3 or 4 months at our board meetings, it's been brainstorming, like, okay, where do we go from here? And so we try to think of all the things that have happened elsewhere, take that into consideration, and try to do what's best. And sometimes we don't know whether it's best. It's frustrating.
Well, sure it is. I can't even imagine what those guys are going through, the nurses out there. God bless all of them for being
Yeah.
who they are, you know.
You know, so I guess the thing is, because of the possibility of this virus affecting people to the point where they actually die, we're asking people to take this seriously. You know, in fact, you might want to be just a little bit afraid
Right.
of going out in the public, because you don't know whether
You have no
somebody-
clue.
Yeah, no clue, because a lot of people could be carriers, for some reason, their body just deflects all this, and so anyway, I can't say it enough that, you know, we as a board, we're trying to do what's best for the county, and thinking of other things besides just the health, but, you know,
Right.
the business and
It's
so on.
everything.
I don't know. You have any other questions? I can go on and on, but it's virtually say the same thing.
Right.
Well, the biggest problem is it's so unknown. I mean, it
Yeah.
really don't have a pattern or whatever,
Right.
like the flu. When you
Right.
get it, you know, you got,
I think
These
I think
symptoms.
what I hear is that people are saying that, oh, it's just a virus, no different than what was that night? N1,
H1N1.
H1N1, I couldn't get it
Yeah.
out.
Well-
That one are the
And
influenza.
in some cases, now again, I'm not a epidemiologist
Right.
or an infectious disease person. There might be some truth in that, but this is something that's come along that our systems have not been used to. You got to remember, if you delve into this, you find, and again, it's been a long time since I've taken a biology class, but there's a DNA that's attached to these. I mean, this is something that's got some substance,
Right.
and viruses find it easy from time to time to change who they are, what they look like, and so on. They change their DNA, and so they mutate. And so, and sometimes they mutate to the point where it's something different than your body has ever experienced. So that immune system, when that virus goes in, says, I've not seen you before. Who are you? How do I handle you? How do I deal with you? You know, should I be wary of you? And if it does not have prior experience, it does its best to try to build up defenses against this new thing that it's not sure of. And that's a very simplistic way of trying to explain it. And again, I'm not an expert by any stretch. But so a coronavirus, as I understand, is the common cold is a coronavirus, but it's been around so long, and in my case, I've been around so long, that my body has built up an identification process that says when the common cold comes in, when that coronavirus comes in and it's just a common cold, okay, well, I get the sniffles for a couple of days, but my defense mechanisms recognize that for what it is
right.
and is able to deal with it. You know, yeah, I might, you know, if I get the flu, I've had the flu. It's been a long time since I had the flu.
Right.
But again, having had it, my body recognizes the types of flus that are seasonal, that come around every year. And so it can combat that. But this coronavirus, even though, yes, it's similar to some other things that have been around for
For a long time.
a long time, is different in its makeup, such that that's one of the reasons we've had so many people getting sick, so many people dying, is that their body doesn't recognize that as, or does recognize it as being new, and is saying, what do I have to do? What do I have to kick in here
Right.
to defend myself and this person in which I'm living against this invader? So I think that's what it is. It's just, and epidemiologists, or actually infectious disease people, are constantly looking at even some of the more common ones like H1N1, which is an avian flu, a bird flu. You know, it can mutate. You know, it doesn't stay the same all the time,
Right.
which is why sometimes H1N1 can rear its ugly head again and be devastating. And you think, well, that's been around before, when, you know, and you think, yeah, but it's not the same H1N1 as what hit us back in 2009. It's avian flu, but with a different internal biological, biochemical structure that our bodies aren't used to dealing with. And that's, you know, and what happens is sometimes the body immune system kicks in and works so hard that it could be a part of our problem.
Right.
You know, that's what happens when,
itself.
you know, and in COVID, one of the things, if you get it bad enough, one of the places that always goes, and that's when you really are in trouble, is it goes to the lungs, and your body fights it to the point where it fills up your lungs with just your normal bodily fluids, and that's part of the system that's kicking in there to help fight this thing, and you end up dying of pneumonia.
Right.
You know, and do you die of pneumonia or do you die of COVID-19? Well, the
Right.
answer is probably both,
Right.
I guess. And again, this is a very simplistic discussion here, and I'm.
Well, that's what they said, didn't say, what I read was that it's so unknown that they don't know what, and every case is different. There's severe cases and
Well, they're learning,
light
but
cases. But
yeah.
mostly if you have diabetes, lung problems, kidney, and I think there was 4 of them.
Yeah, what's happening is that if you have a pre-existing condition, if you're a cancer victim or you're a,
Cancer, that was the other one.
you have and it's something else, what can happen is the COVID aggravates it. And so again, if a person passes away, do they die of what they had before or COVID? And I don't know how they categorize that. I think they probably chalk it up as a COVID death, but it was a contributing factor.
Right.
Right.
And and again, that's why we want to protect those whom we love and are around on a regular basis, so that when we go out in the public, it's good to wear a mask because that helps you from bringing something back.
Right.
Right.
So I don't know. It's
And I think doing a lot of like vitamin C, vitamin D, zinc,
well, I don't know
And
what
that.
would work.
yeah. Especially
I don't know.
vitamin C, because that really helps fight.
It may.
And go sit in the sunshine.
Right.
Makes you
Not-
feel
Not a
good.
week ago when we had nothing, no sun.
You know, these are.
Yeah.
But here's an article I just printed off of a news, some media this evening, just before it came over. And it says the Center for Disease Control, CDC, now says masks protect the wearer and those around them from COVID-19. So again, it seems like this has been around forever, but you know, this all just started actually first week of March, I think. So we haven't been at this COVID stuff for very long, although it seems like it. But you know, so they're starting to, you know, through various, you know, universities kick in with all kinds of research. That's the way they get some federal funds, is through research. So they're more than happy to delve right in and start doing research and studies and things like that. So again, this is just a reaffirmation of the fact that masks work. They're simple. And we're surely trying to encourage people to do that, and that's what we're going to try to do on the 17th of this month, is just have a discussion about, you know, because things are starting to hit the fan. You know, our numbers are going up, and around the southeast Missouri region, and they're going up. Down in Cape Girardeau, Cape County, they're pushing 2,000, you know, cases, and I think I have not checked lately. But something in the 20s, number of people have died down there. It might even be higher than that. I haven't seen it for a while. I need to check into that. But last time I looked, Perry County had 9 people that have passed away. I think either St. Francis County or Jefferson County had, I think, 29 people have been. And you know, is that a lot? Yeah, it's a lot.
Yeah.
One's a lot.
Right,
You know, and so
right.
you don't want that.
So
even
how
one,
many are
but,
in St. Genevieve now?
2 so far.
Two.
Yeah.
2 so far. And we had one that happened, I think, early on in the crisis, but we had another person sadly pass away just within the last week or so. Now, should we brag about, oh, well, we only have 2? We should be hoping, bragging that we don't have any.
Exactly.
right.
yeah.
You know, because there's a tragedy there, and could it have been avoided? Well, that's hard to say, you know.
And that's what, they don't really know where it come from. Like, I have no idea
Yeah.
where I got mine.
Right.
Yeah.
I went to a funeral, a wake, could have been there.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah. But it's,
You know, who knows?
yeah, it's airborne, so it's air droplets, that's what it is.
Right,
They
So
have
if-
already proven that, if you go to a local gas station and you take the pump and put
Oh,
it in your
yes.
car, can you
Yes.
get it from there? And the answer is, maybe.
Maybe,
They
yeah.
haven't proven that to be a catalyst, you know. Can you? Maybe, yeah. But,
Yeah, like at
that's-
first when they were saying, wash all your food and your
yeah,
containers
no, I
and your
don't
bags
think
and
that's
your.
where, but, you know, can you get it from a doorknob? Well, maybe. You know, if somebody touched the doorknob.
Right
come along
before you
later,
did,
well,
yeah.
You know,
But your body, I think with all those small things, your body's building up immunity
yeah,
by touching things and by
yeah. You have to
feeling
have
things
some
and
sort of
breathing. Your body's building up an immunity to everything you come in contact with.
yeah,
That's bad.
yeah.
Probably.
Oh, that's
One of the guys that I work for one time said, the reason people are sick now is they're too damn clean.
Well, you know,
I shouldn't have said damn.
I think there is, there's some truth to that, because supposedly, like when I was a kid back in the 50s, you know, you're outside playing, like, as your mother used to say, it's a nice day, and you're off to school in the middle of the summer, you know,
Right.
you're out of school.
And you wouldn't
Don't sit
wash your
there, get
hands
out.
all day.
Yeah, so you go out and play, well, you know, if you were running and you fell down and, you know.
Wipe the blood
you know,
off or whatever?
Yeah, you
You just rubbed
you
it.
didn't go home, you
No,
know,
you didn't.
You just kind of, you know, it had bird in it and everything else. and-
Right.
and So you just got, you know, and you went on and you didn't go home till that night, you know.
Right.
Your mother would
Right.
say, well, what did you do there? And,
That's so
and
true.
that is true, that's one of the way that you're,
Mm-hmm.
because there are, once you break that skin, but there's all kinds of things
Oh,
trying to
yeah.
get in there,
Oh,
and,
yeah.
that are
And
not
your
good.
body's running there right away fighting it,
Yeah,
getting rid
and
of it, yeah.
so I think that's true. I think there's some truth to that, you know, once you reach my age, you do have some immunities to certain
Yeah,
things, you
right.
know?
Right.
And when I don't know whether you would remember this, but when I was a kid, there was no vaccine against measles,
No.
or mumps, or chicken pox, so what
Oh,
happened?
we got it.
You got it. You know, and
I
you
had
couldn't help but get it.
measles and
Yeah.
mumps.
Because, and
In
so.
fact, they used to expose people to it, so they'd hurry up and get it, and then they'd be
Right.
immune to it, it wouldn't
Right.
happen to them.
But nowadays, they have vaccines that
Right.
that help you from getting it,
Right.
not getting it. So, but anyway, that's a different conversation, vaccines.
Yeah.
But you know, when we talk about washing hands, that to me is just common sense. You don't have to be rich, you don't have to be poor, you don't have to be anything. You're taught that, most kids are taught at home, and if they're not, they are taught at school, or church, or wherever they go. They're taught to wash their hands. That's just something, and especially when you see the kids or people sneeze in their hand and then wipe it on their pants. and
wipe
go
it on
back. Or your shirt. And
Instead
it's
of
like,
coughing in their elbow, they,
Right, it's right there. Go wash your hands, please, just,
or they go,
right,
Yeah.
right. You know, I think that
Yeah.
if that's what we could do now, to make sure we wash our hands especially if you're sick, especially if you know or you don't even have to be sick, but if you have allergies or whatever, you know you're gonna be either wiping your face or whatever, wash your hands. Stay
I
clean.
agree, yeah.
And you know, like you said, wear the mask.
Yeah.
Do I like wearing it? I wear it 8 hours. Do I like it? No. And I'll tell you, you know, the cloth ones, I can deal with those. It's those.
What, the paper ones?
Yes.
Yeah, because they don't.
I have the
They're
toughest
meant to
time.
be
with
one
them.
use only.
Yeah,
And so I got a cloth mask. When I go down to the memorial down in Perryville, I have one that's specific to,
right,
because I'm a Vietnam vet, so I
Right.
go down there and I have a mask that says has a little
Oh, has the
ribbon
emblem
on
on
there
it,
that
yeah.
indicates Vietnam vet and
Right.
military police and so on.
Well, thank
I
you for your
can't breathe,
service.
yeah, I can't breathe very,
No, I have a hard time with that now.
but I
when
have
it's the clock-
COPDs too.
Oh, that,
yeah.
yeah, but those are,
Every once in a while with a cloth mask, every once in a while you gotta go.
Yeah.
oh,
Take a
yeah.
breath.
Oh, I'm constantly pulling it down.
And the other thing is, if you wear glasses like I do.
Oh,
they
they
are.
fog up, yes, I have glasses.
But when you stop to think about the simplicity of wearing a mask and what it can prevent, you
Right.
think, well, okay.
You know, don't think of it as like somebody telling you have to. You know, I have some friends that I'm not wearing that mask, or that's dumb, or whatever.
Then don't
And I-
get around me.
Right, just if that's how you feel, and if you're not worried about, catching it, that's fine. But please worry about the people that you're around.
Right.
And especially if they're older. Now,
Yeah.
it doesn't mean that, look at all the younger kids that are getting it now.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, and it does seem to single out certain age groups, and I can't remember what those were, but if anybody's interested, I'll maybe have the health department kind of put some statistics on the Facebook page that just kind of point out to
Ooh, that would be
what
good.
age groups.
Mhm.
See, in the 1918 flu pandemic that killed worldwide, they don't even know how many people killed, but at least 50 million. For some reason, it picked on younger people.
Really?
You would think older people like me would
Right.
would be susceptible to picking something up. But for some reason, it struck people from about 1819 to into the early to mid-30s, and it was that age group that really got devastated.
Whoa. I didn't
Which
realize
seemed
that.
odd, because you would think the very young, because they don't have an immune system yet that an older person has, or
Right.
the old that where your immune systems have been worn down through many years,
Right.
that would be susceptible to becoming ill. But in this particular case, COVID, I don't know exactly what the age groups are. I don't think it's necessarily picking on one in particular.
No, 'cause-
But I think there is a mid-range
Mhm.
there.
There have been some anywhere from like the late 20s and early 30s. They've had some.
I know for a fact that down in Cape County, a lot of the people who pass away down there are people in their 70s and 80s. But not all, but because Cape does, or did for a while, report those type of statistics. But I don't know, I don't know where the age group is and what this hits. But this is something that just I printed off from the Missouri Hospital Association's COVID-19 dashboard for Southeast Missouri, in which St. Genevieve County is a part. And COVID-19 cases total, and they do this per 100,000 population. So I don't know whether they use that as a ratio, so they can do something mathematically with it. But it's 4,258 cases per 100,000 in the southeast region, which in the week November 1st through November 7th was a 31.5% positivity rate. So that's high.
That
That's
is
high.
high, yes.
But they're doing more testing than they did before. So
Well, yes.
more cases are gonna
Yes,
show up.
they're doing more testing, and then, of course, a lot of people say, well, if you didn't do as much testing, you wouldn't have as many, but.
You wouldn't have the numbers, but you'd
Well,
still
to me,
have
it's
the
sort of
people.
self-defeating, though, because
You'd
you
still-
test because you want to find out if somebody's ill, and you want to
Right.
help
Right.
them do what they have to do,
Right.
which is encourage them to quarantine, or, so testing, in my opinion, is a vital part of our combating this situation. So stopping testing is not going to
No,
make it go away.
No.
But, again.
nobody will know who's got it.
Right.
People beyond our county make those kind of decisions, so
Yeah.
we have to go along
We
with
have
it,
to
so
go,
that's what we do.
right.
They do have something here called a reproductive rate, and a reproductive rate it's something that's computed, and if I can, my notes here, it says, The reproductive rate, and we have a reproductive rate in southeast Missouri now of 1.15. 1.15, and it says that refers to the number of people that an infected individual can in turn infect by virtue of them having the virus. The higher the rate, the higher the risk of the spread of COVID exponentially. If we could get that rate down to less than 1, that means we have a very good chance of containing that virus, not exterminating it, but
Right,
containing
right.
it. And so we're striving throughout southeast Missouri to get to the point where we're less than 1, and we haven't gotten there yet. But we're sure working hard. And in the state of Missouri, now in southeast Missouri, we're high. We're higher than the state average. The COVID-19 cases per 100,000 for the state is 3,479. So we're probably about 800 higher than that per cases per 100,000. So we're considered what they call a hot spot. So
We are?
Oh yeah, yeah. But again, I extend my congratulations to the people in our county,
Absolutely.
in that our numbers, again, even though they're spiking, are still
Right.
low compared to others.
To others.
And even in New Madrid County and some of the more rural counties down south of us, Dunklin County, Pemiscot County, New Madrid County, their infection rate and sadly their death rate is well above ours. And
Oh, my goodness.
so encouragement. That's what we're
Right.
going to try to do, is encourage the wearing of masks because they do work, and hopefully we'll have some positive results.
Well, you know, back when it started, not that it wasn't heard of here, but, I mean, people were, I mean, it was very low, and if we did get a case, it was not, you know, it was contained and all this, and it was pretty much like that throughout the whole summer.
Right.
And then all of a sudden,
People
so-
got tired of wearing their mask
well,
and being
that
confined,
and
and they
maybe
go out.
the fact that they were with, you know, and I don't wanna stereotype something. So I don't wanna say it's a wedding or a big gathering, or, I'm gonna say big gatherings. Where,
Yes,
you know, you get
definitely.
out and,
You're
and
around
if
a
you're,
lot of people.
well, and you know, if you're drinking, I don't mean beer, it don't have to be beer, just if you're drinking or you're outside and you're drinking a lot more, it's just your mouth is, and this is, I know this is awful, but we were talking, I was with somebody, and we had been talking, and when they was talking, you noticed
You could see
some,
the
yeah,
vapors.
and I'm thinking,
Yeah.
and that happened with me, and I told those girls, I said, and we're wearing masks. It just happened to be, I'd taken my mask off to get a drink, and I wasn't facing them directly and talking, only because I was afraid of that, thinking, you know, maybe my mouth isn't dry enough. And and I said, did you see that? And it was kind of not funny, but it was just
Yeah.
how easy and
Yeah,
you know, so if you're, you know, if you do have any of those symptoms, or if you do feel that way, the mask, you know what, especially if you go out, you don't have to wear it at home, and if you're not required to wear it at work, that's one thing. But at least when you just go out to the store to, you know.
when
and
you're
most of-
around strangers,
Right.
people that you're around all the time. I
Right,
think that's a different story.
absolutely.
And if you know they haven't been out around other people.
Right. And that's the thing, you don't know, you may be with someone or go somewhere and be in a meeting or whatever with some people, but you don't know where those people have been.
Right,
You know who they've been in contact with.
right.
So
Yeah, I had to go down to Perryville and get my car license.
mhm.
And I made sure I had my mask on when I went in there, because there were people in there I
Oh,
didn't know. One
right.
person I knew, but
Right.
we both had our mask on,
Yeah.
you know, but when I go somewhere where I don't know people, and then I ran in Walmart to get rid of all my plastic bags, they're taking them again down there. I had like 9 bags full of bags.
Yeah,
So I filled up their container
right,
almost.
right.
Yeah. But I think when you're around people that you're not around all the time, make sure you have your mask on. If you go in the store, go shopping, do it just because.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I can't breathe, but I do it anyway.
Right.
I'm like, oh.
What we've tried to do, and it's hard to do, is try to determine who's guilty of spreading it. And,
Right, right.
It appears that it's as a result of people coming and going in the county. Not so much that people here,
Oh,
I mean, people here do
Right.
have it, and they do,
Right.
it happens.
Right.
You know, but, when we have nice weather, we have people come from Illinois, come over to
Absolutely.
go downtown, to either go to a restaurant or go to our historic
right.
buildings, and just, sometimes just to walk around. And St. Genevieve's is a
Right.
beautiful place, just to walk down the street. And so we feel that it's a coming and going of people that don't
Right.
necessarily live here, that
Right.
have helped those numbers
Bring
go
us.
up. Yeah.
And you know,
But most of the people that I've seen from out of town, they have masks on. Majority of them.
Yeah, they may,
So who knows?
I don't know,
What you
that's
say.
just, we think that's,
Yeah.
I'm not a statistician.
Well, and that's very possible, because I don't see everybody comes to town. There's like 100 people on some nice Sundays or Saturdays that are in town.
right,
Yeah,
right.
their counts are really good, actually, for how bad it is out
Mhm.
at the Welcome Center. What
Oh,
were you
yeah.
gonna say? I didn't mean to
No,
interrupt
oh,
you.
no, I just know during the summer, some of the events were canceled, due to people not wanting people come to our town or us going to their town, especially if they had it, which I thought was, and I really thought at the beginning that, I felt that, we were really working hard to make sure that didn't happen. And I know, I know a lot of, older, I'm one of those older people, people that they take this serious. And so, and I know a couple of them that have big families, and they didn't really have anything for families. I haven't seen my grandkids well, I can't say that because I do Skyping, so that's, or FaceTime, so I
Yeah.
do see them, but we're there every 4 to 6 weeks, or they're here. And, but, and it's not like they go out anywhere, but, my grandkids played volleyball over the summer, and, one wanted us to come. Well, we just didn't go, so my daughter and son-in-law live streamed it, and we got to watch it play that way. But again, when it was, and then my one granddaughter in Kansas, and that's where they live in Kansas, she made the volleyball team there, freshman. And like here, you had so many people that were allowed to go. Well, they had to wear their masks playing volleyball.
Oh, my goodness.
And those teams their chairs were 6 feet apart from the whole team. Now, the team played together out on the court.
Floor, but they're still far.
But they
far
were,
apart.
their chairs were six,
Oh.
but they had to wear masks. They didn't.
But actually, when you're on the court, you are far away unless you spike or whatever they
It
call
is,
that.
but I'll
hit
tell you
now or
what,
whatever.
it's different now. It's
Yeah.
not like when we played
Yeah, it's
volleyball.
not.
It's tough. It's tough for institutions to do that.
Right.
For high schools to
And I don't know why they did it. I don't know if it was
Yeah,
school-wise
you
or,
know,
or maybe the statewide, or not state, but county-wide.
you just do what you feel is best, and, you gotta do what you gotta do.
Right.
And, look at universities with regards to football. University football, college football is big money.
Oh, yeah.
And so when you can't put 70,000 people in the stands, well,
Right.
that kind of hurts a little bit
Right.
financially.
For sure.
But, what's the alternative? And-
Right.
And, anyway.
No, because not
I'm
only
surprised we haven't had any people call in.
Yes,
I was
if
hoping maybe
anyone,
somebody-
please
Yeah, I
please.
thought people would be calling in to
Call in and
ask
just-
questions.
Just
Yeah.
ask something. I mean, I'm sure something's on somebody's mind.
If you had all those questions, you should have took them.
Right, right, yes. I had lots of people ask questions, you
Yeah, I
know.
liked when they called in.
Right, yeah.
I
Even if
wasn't
it's
here,
just-
but when.
Right, when they did, we had a couple
Yes,
phone calls, and
yeah.
it was really neat, just to hear.
No, that was so cute. I don't know how to do it.
Right, and I thought, okay,
Hello?
wait a minute, that was the worst. I picked the phone up like this, and I thought, oh, I know, I have a phone like this. Okay, well, I hit hello, but put it on speaker. Oh my gosh, where's speaker at? And I said, oh my gosh, I felt so stupid. I
That
said,
was
now I know how to do
I know,
it.
that was cute.
Where's all our veterans? I thought maybe we'd have some veterans.
Oh
come.
my gosh.
They
I
are
know.
at the funeral home.
Uh,
At 7, they had prayer service at 7.
Oh, did
okay.
they?
And then
Alright.
the other one, Betty, I don't remember what Betty was doing, but she was busy.
Okay.
They were invited. It's, you know, the world's so different.
Oh, I know.
It's
When we
so
couldn't
different,
have,
yeah.
when we couldn't have, the schools, both schools always have, Bloomsdale has it, all the schools out there, Zell, us, and the kids enjoy that. And sometimes some of them get to talk to them, and they just love, or they'll say, did you know this? Did you know this? It's like, yeah, we didn't know that. But, you know, just for they touch their hearts.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
these veterans touch
As,
these
as an
kids.
adult though, if you could ever get a hold of a veteran and actually set that person down and really enter into a conversation
Oh.
with him, to the point where they'll tell you things they usually don't tell people.
Right.
Right.
And I've done that a lot with World War II veterans, because my wife and I have been active in a World War II veterans organization since about 2003.
Really?
And, yeah, it's with an organization that was an infantry division that fought in the Pacific in World War II on New Guinea and southern Philippines. And, you know, you talk to some of these veterans and, you know, once you sit down and they have a comfort level with
Oh,
you,
yes.
a comfort feel, and especially if you know a little bit about World War II, and you start asking the right kind of questions, they'll open up and boy, they'll tell you some of the most unusual tales you'll ever want to hear.
I'll tell you somebody that would do that.
Yeah.
And I didn't really ever know him, but I met him through McDonald's coming to work. He would come out in the afternoons, and that's when I was working. And I'd get off work, and he'd say, "You got a minute?" It was never a minute. It was like an hour or two.
Yeah.
And the first time I thought, oh, I don't have time for this. And I thought, Mr. Geck, if you want to talk to me, it was Walton Geck. I said, if you want to talk to me, I would love to hear some of that stuff. So I told him next time he come into town, and I gave him my number. I said, you let me know. And I would sit, we'll have coffee or whatever. And I sat with him one day, almost 2.5 hours.
Yeah.
And I'm telling you, just the things that he talked about. And I'm thinking, you hear about that.
And they
You see
keep that stuff inside for so
Yes.
many years.
And for him, and Mr. Geck was he 90-something when he passed away? So just say at the latest 15 years ago. I mean, it's not been that long since I've talked to him about, but when I first met him, I guess, and he started talking about it,
Yeah.
but he would come to school and he would talk. He would
And that's
laugh.
good when they do that. I had uncles that, they were in the really bad stuff.
Mhm.
And no, I am not talking about that. That is in the past.
Yeah,
I want to forget it.
Right.
Yeah.
My dad was in World War II.
Yeah. One of my uncles was a tank driver. 5 tanks shot out from under him.
Really?
In the hospital, I don't know how many times. 2 Purple Hearts. And he lived to be 96,
Really?
but he would never talk about it. In fact, he didn't even want his medals. Mom took them when Grandma's house, when they broke
Oh,
up the house, and my aunt moved to St. Louis. I mean, Alton. Mom took the Purple Hearts, and he came to see her, and she said, Bernard, you take this medal. He said, Rachel, I do not want that. I do not want those memories. I do not want it. And she said, give it to Greg. That was his grandchild.
Yeah.
And he goes, No, he'll ask me questions. She said, just give it to Greg and don't talk to him if you don't want to. But he never would, never
Right.
would talk about it. Mm-mm.
Some people don't, and I'll tell you what, it's hard to watch, and you know, because I'll
Well, how
watch
much
movies.
pain?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Watching movies with my husband, these army shows, oh, I don't really want to watch those. And
Yeah.
he says, this is how it really was, and some of them were, was it, what is it? Private Ryan?
Yeah.
I could, we had to stop several times because I cried. I was thinking, oh my gosh, this just, it being there. And these kids were so young,
I know, like,
18 and 19 years old.
Well, and
Well,
some
you
of
can't
them,
fight wars with people my age, so it has to be the young people
That's so true.
Yeah.
That's
who have strength and
absolutely
stamina and.
right. And I think they learn, and you have some that are, well, look at the kids. This is what, at graduation, I'm telling you, at graduation this year, I think we had, I don't want to be off, I think 13
that were going in.
that were going in
Into
service,
the-
girls and boys. And I'm telling you, when we started that, they asked how many were in the, whatever, and when our kids stand and say, everybody, and I get teary about that, but that is just to see those kids, because now you're not drafted anymore, you're not this, and, some kids, well, I'm not gonna go, I don't wanna go in there, I don't wanna do this. But then you have those kids that their hearts are,
Right.
I
The
tell you
priest
what,
that
the
was here
veterans.
now is out in the ocean right now.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, Father said this morning, let's pray for Father Malosha.
Oh my gosh.
He's so cute.
Was he deployed?
Or,
Has he been deployed?
no, he went to be a chaplain.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, yeah. It was his choice. He wanted to do it, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
I tell you
Well,
what,
we don't have many World War II vets left.
No.
The
Oh.
the group that I was associated with, we don't meet anymore. My youngest one is probably 95.
mm-hmm,
I do have several that are in the hundreds. I have one fellow that's 103,
Oh, my goodness.
and another couple of fellows who are 100, 101. I had one just turn 100 last month.
Oh, my goodness.
Um, And yet, if you get them together, boy, they've reached a point in age where they want to talk about what their
Talk about it,
experiences
yeah.
are.
Right.
And the thing about it is, it's so long ago. If they went overseas and actually went into combat in 1943 or 42 even. See, in 42, the war actually was taken to, especially the Japanese, on Guadalcanal, where the Marines landed on August the 7th of 42. But simultaneously there was an army operation in eastern New Guinea, at one place primarily called Buna. But the Australians had been fighting all along the Kokoda Trail there and everything for a while. But that's almost 80 years ago, 78 years ago. So if a young man was 18 or 19 or 20 when he went overseas and he's still alive today, you can figure out that's a long time. But what's interesting is, even after the passage of those years, they can tell you something that happened all those years ago like it happened yesterday.
oh yeah, I'm sure.
Like it's indelible in their mind, even at this age, and they can tell you what color the trees were, and all kinds. It's fantastic if you just could get them to open up a little bit. But some of the guys who are in the infantry is the one that really carries the fight
Right.
to the enemy.
Oh yeah.
And so that's the ones where, you get to the point where you're close enough to smell them and to hear them, and you throw a rock at them, and hit them.
Right.
And that happens, but, that's, they have some of the most fantastic and very difficult to believe stories that they can tell. And that's one of the reasons why some guys don't talk, is because if he would actually tell you what really happened, there's no way you could envision that in your mind.
Oh.
No way.
No,
No.
You know, because they did some, with some really unusual stuff. And what they saw and what they
Right.
heard and what they
Right.
smelled was,
Right,
I mean, you know, there's no way you could put all that together in your mind and have a meaning, so.
And think how those poor guys felt when all their buddies that they lived with
right, right,
got it and they didn't, you know.
right.
So
I
sad.
think if I'm not mistaken, he would be he just turned 90, he didn't just turn, he passed away, but, he was 90, he would have been 99 yesterday, the 10th.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, the 10th, 99,
Fantastic.
yeah.
Well, why don't we get some veterans calling in?
I know, wouldn't that be awesome?
It's
If
a
there's-
veterans call.
If there's anyone out there, especially if you're a veteran, give us a call and just let us know.
Yeah, they should be home from the funeral home now.
We just want to let you know how much we appreciate all you've done and thank you for your service.
Definitely, yeah.
You know, I did that today. I thought, you know what? I'm just going to thank people for, and I didn't know if, you know, some people I know was in service, some I didn't. And said, thank you for your service, or Happy Veterans Day, and that guy said, I'm not a veteran. I said, well, you, just next time you see someone, you just say thank you to a veteran. If you see a veteran, you say
Pass it
thank
on,
you,
yeah.
pass it on. You know, you don't
Yeah,
have to be a
and
veteran.
Vietnam
so-
was so bad.
That
I didn't
was-
realize, one of the guys that I worked with for a while was telling me all the stuff they went through. Awful, awful.
Yeah,
That had to be the scariest thing. Of course, I guess they all did that. I mean,
right.
every war, in every war.
you know, we had pictures of my husband graduating from basic training, and my grandkid said, "That's Pappy?" He says, "I'm not lying." Earl was skinny, and just looked like he looked 10 years younger than he was. He was just, you know, and yeah, just.
Yeah, well, I guess we can say Happy Veterans Day to all the
Yes.
veterans out there. and-
Absolutely, and thank you for your service.
Yeah, thanks a lot for your
That's the
service.
reason we're here.
Yeah, we want to keep our world
Right,
free, for
right.
sure. yeah.
Absolutely.
And thank you,
Yes.
Mr. Bach,
Yes.
for coming on. and-
We
My
appreciate
pleasure.
that.
I hope that listeners would, if they would have had questions, they should, you know, should call in.
Yeah.
But, you know, again, attend the public meeting next week, and,
You want to say when it is and where it's at?
yeah,
so
again,
everybody-
it's going to be on November the 17th. It's a week from last night.
Tuesday, yeah.
6:30 at the community center on Highway 32. And I think it's going to be in the building, the main building in the front. In the gymnasium, they're going to set up about 100 chairs for me that are socially distanced. So I'm hoping we won't have to restrict
Right.
into just 100 people.
Right,
But I would, quite honestly, we have no idea
right,
who might
Right,
show.
yeah.
But again, it's only going to be a fact-finding discussion. We just want to, and what it's all about is because of the way things are going,
Right.
that we really are going to try to encourage the wearing of masks when people are out in the public.
right,
And if you want to have a discussion with regards to that, that's all it's going to be. There's nothing other than that. We're trying to get the pulse of the population here, and but also reinforce the fact that, you know, with the winter coming upon us,
Right. Things could
I think
change.
they're going to get worse before they get better.
Right.
So, you know, how can we do that? And again, mask wearing, I think, foremost is that which we hope to encourage.
Right. And that's
So
good.
when you're around somebody you don't know, who haven't been around, put your mask on.
Put your mask on. Well, try to wear it as much as you can.
Right.
And it's, you know, it's, I know it's not easy.
Right.
You know, I do it, and it's, after a while, you get, you know, itches, and you
Right.
know, what are you
You're
doing?
like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I can't breathe, I can't
Right,
breathe.
can pull
You
it
know,
down a little
but
bit, right,
in this day and age, that's just the way it is. And
Right.
You do things you don't want to do, and so you do it.
and who knows? this
And
could
like
be
our
something.
parents used to always say, just offer it up.
Yeah.
Every time we
Oh,
complain, they
oh,
was like,
yes.
just offer it up.
Right, right. Okay. All right.
So anyway, thank you again, and thank you guys out there for watching, and
Thank you.
if you have any questions, you can, I guess the health departments are really busy where they can't
Oh,
call
my, yeah,
out
the phones are quite busy,
Yeah,
yeah.
they're
I mean, but that doesn't mean you know,
But
you have.
That I
an
called
issue,
the
you-
other day and I said, I know you're really busy. If you don't have time, you can call me back or just tell me no. Oh, no, we always have
No,
time to talk
we
to
don't want to
people.
discourage people, I mean, that's
Yeah,
why
right.
we're there.
But call with
Exactly.
important
Yeah,
questions.
and-
Yes.
Just,
You know, or even if you feel it's important to call the health
Right.
department, call
Call
the health
them.
department.
Yeah,
You know, and
because
we'll-
most questions can be answered in a second.
right.
I mean, like a
Right.
yes or no, this is so, whatever, you know, and you're done.
Right. have
So,
this
right, we
going.
don't want to encourage contact, I mean,
No.
that's why we're there,
Right.
Right.
by all
Yeah.
means.
Okay,
Absolutely.
so I guess everybody, good night and have a
Good
good
Have a-
week, 2 weeks.
Yes.
And we'll be back on the 28th. We have guests, so
Okay, on the,
it's the day before Thanksgiving, 25th.
okay, I was
I'm
gonna
gonna bring you here on
say,
Saturday this
because I may
time.
not be able to make it if we do get a chance to go to Kansas to my daughter's, I'm
Oh,
probably
yeah,
going.
yeah.
But.
Yeah,
if
it's
not-
the 25th, not the 28th.
Right.
So it's kind of off there.
When you said that, I was gonna ask you.
I do that a lot.
This is funny, these ladies, oh my gosh, this is amazing, just to be a part of this.
We'll be too glad to have you, so. Anyway, good night, everybody.
and
Mike
good
and
night.
Charlie,
Good night.
we're ready to go.